Studio Q, Queen's student television program, is brought to you in part by Procter & Gamble, continuing a long tradition of hiring Queen's students. Welcome to the premiere episode of Studio Q for 1994. I'm Abbey, and before we get into today's show, we have a bit of news about our own show. My former co-anchor, Sherry Ross, has decided to leave Studio Q to pursue a career in television with ATV in Hong Kong. Sherry will be working with the sales and marketing department for ATV, as well as working part-time in their news department. Sherry's services will be greatly missed here at Studio Q, and we all wish her the best of luck in the future. However, she will not be absent from our show totally. Sherry will be doing a few stories as our Asian correspondent in Hong Kong, so you can look for her in future episodes. In the meantime, we'll be looking for a replacement for Sherry in the next couple of weeks. However, for today's show, our assistant director, Marianne Wisenthal, has volunteered to help us out.
Thanks, Graham. It's nice to be on this side of the camera for a change. On this week's show, we're going to look at how you can study abroad in England next year, as well as some cheap ways to combat the common cold.
But first, the Queen's Ghetto might not have been as quiet as might have seemed over the holiday season. The cold weather caused many pipes to burst and caused a lot of flooding in homes, including my own, keeping landlords and policemen in Kingston fairly busy. This seems to be a recurrent problem with the Queen's Ghetto, and Heather McDiarmid has more on the story.
If you thought the student ghetto was void of activity throughout the holidays, think again. According to Kingston Police Staff Sergeant Bill Dockstader, there were 22 reported incidents of breaking and entering in the ghetto area between December 20th and January 7th.
I lost a CD player, 30 or 40 CDs, good $1,500 worth of merchandise.
Perpetrators kicked in the back door of one student house, but when the broken door was discovered by the landlord, she assumed the residents had caused the damage and promptly repaired it without checking with the tenants or reporting it to police. As a result, almost $10,000 in stolen property is unlocated. With so many students leaving the ghetto during the holiday season, some question the role of the Kingston police.
I just felt that there was a lot more that could have been done and probably would have been done had the situation been any different. And I realized that there's a lot of break-ins during this time, but I guess that should be more of a hint to them that there is something more that's needed and should be done.
Kingston police suggest what they call target hardening your house by installing deadbolt locks on your doors and arranging regular surveillance of empty houses. The winter holiday house check offered by the AMS serviced a total of 51 houses this year, twice as many as last year.
We offered a couple services. We completely checked the exterior of their house to make sure that there was nothing suspicious. There were no broken doors, no broken windows, that sort of thing. We collected the mail for them if they wanted us to, or we could slide it under the door. And we tried to make the house look used by stomping down the snow and checking to make sure that the windows weren't frosting over and that sort of thing.
The group encountered one break-in among those houses checked and hopes the service will continue next year. While many students are making lists of stolen items and filling out insurance claims, police are trying to apprehend the offenders.
They came across some merchandise today, and we were called down to the police station to identify anything that might be ours. But we didn't find anything, but they're zeroing in on the criminals, I guess.
The thief we're looking for is a well-dressed person in a bodysuit, smells like eternity cologne, doesn't listen to Frank Sinatra, and has probably the most phenomenal stereo collection you've ever seen in your life.
With Reading Week fast approaching, students should start thinking about ways to protect their belongings. The AMS won't be offering their house check service during spring break, but Kingston Police invite Queen students to call their crime prevention unit at 549-4660 for advice. Reporting for Studio Q, I'm Heather McDiarmid.
Still to come on Studio Q, if studying in England is right up your alley, be sure to stay tuned for Studio Q's exclusive feature on life at Herstmonceaux.
In December, we told you about a series of noise complaints against the Quiet Pub. With an update on where things stand now, here's Zainul Rajan.
Here's the J-Duck, and here's the QP. Convenient? Not quite, especially for those grad students living directly above it. And if you remember from last term, failure of the QP's management to reduce noise levels forced Vice Principal Williams to cut the pub's operating hours.
It was a shame that hours had to be cut. I don't really know if that's fair or not, but we definitely, learned a lesson from it.
After a series of negotiations last Monday with Residence Life, the AMS, and the J-Duck, Vice Principal Williams announced the QP could return to its regular hours.
Would come up to an agreement of things we're going to do, and based on those, and based on the completion of those, we will have regular operating hours, and the Quiet Pub will be the same place it was before.
Solutions to rectify the QP problem appear to be somewhat short-sighted. Although management has agreed to reduce noise levels by purchasing a stereo limiter, as well as controlling rowdy patrons, there has been no mention of permanent soundproofing. This means that the noise from the QP will continue to be a reality for grad students in the J-Duck.
It's a situation that was created by the administration, and I personally feel that they should, be responsible for correcting the situation and not putting it on our shoulders, saying that we've got to put up with the noise or they have to be more quiet, because the QP is a pub, it's a bar. The problem is that there's a residence above a bar.
The administration, mainly Vice Principal Williams, who has complete authority over the Quiet Pub, believes the onus is strictly on management to revert the QP back to its original purpose, that being a quiet pub.
The pub management has probably tried to move the QP to more of an environment that's like a downtown bar, and that's brought with it noise that is unacceptable, and that is also totally inconsistent with the type of quiet pub that was originally approved to go in there.
How will this attempt to change the QP's atmosphere affect the patrons? Manager Nancy Murphy believes the changes will be welcomed by students.
I think our patrons like to be able to have conversation, like to be able to hear the people that they're talking to. And if you have the volume set on the stereo too loud, you can't hear what you're saying to the person sitting next to you.
So, if you were worried that the QP might be shut down, don't be. It wouldn't hurt, however, to keep your eyes and ears open, because VP Williams has suggested a potential relocation of the QP within the J-Duck if noise continues to be a problem. For Studio Q, I'm Zainul Rajan reporting.
Welcome Back Week kicked off Monday in full swing. A special coffee house on Tuesday night showcased student talent. Queen's Medical Outreach sponsored a charity raffle, and continuing one of Queen's most popular traditions, Alfie celebrated New Year's Eve on Wednesday night. Check the Welcome Back Week schedules around campus for more Welcome Back events happening this weekend. Queen's Musical Theater presents Kismet at the Grand Theater this month. Performances begin January 20th and run on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday night until the 29th. Tickets are on sale at the box office in the JDC and at the Grand Theater. Cost is $8 for students and seniors and $10 for adults. On opening night, however, students and seniors pay only $6 and adults pay $8.
If you're in fourth year, listen up. You only have until the end of the month to get your grad photos taken for next year's yearbook. If you need a list of photographers, check with the yearbook office in the lower JDC. But if you're waiting for last year's yearbook, don't hold your breath. More production delays caused by last year's editor mean that the yearbook won't be out until almost reading week.
A follow-up now to a story that we ran in December about Vids in the Hall and their budget problems. In that story, we stated that the store was actually losing money and that it was running a $53,000 deficit. In fact, that was only a projected figure for the end of the year, and we apologize for any misconceptions or misunderstandings that might have caused.
Hi, this is Taser Lawrence with 94's first look at What's On Where. On campus, Alfie's has been hopping all week long with the new edition of a Pints Bar. Friday, don't miss Alfie's Welcome Back Week semi-formal. On Saturday, Dr. Teeth and Friends of Stu will be playing. Catch the Inbred CD release party on Tuesday, followed by the Asexuals and Doughboys on Wednesday night. QP is back to its old self again. Doors open this past Monday. Don't forget last calls at 12:30, so be sure to head down early. Coming soon to the QP is Guinness on Tap, the Tuesday Trivia League, and Friday afternoon jam sessions featuring local talent. Finally, What's On Where takes you to a shot for their fantastic suitcase raffle. Prizes include 2 tickets to Saigon hotel accommodations and $100 spending money. Each ticket holder will receive free pool between 7 and 10 p.m. tonight. That's Thursday. So come on down and try your luck. That's all, folks, for What's On Where this week. Have a great weekend.
Many of you might have seen posters around campus about an opportunity to study at Queen's new East Campus in Sussex, England.
In September, 250 lucky Queen students will have a chance to study abroad for 12 weeks in the refurbished estate Herstmonceaux in the south of England.
In a moment, we'll tell you about what you might expect if you venture overseas, but first, here's the Director of Marketing for the castle with the details about how to apply.
You can go to the admissions office here at Queen's in the Victoria School building and ask for an application package. Okay. And that will give you the calendar and the application that you're required to complete. Okay. And return it to the admissions office. Okay. We're accepting applications right up to March the 21st for the fall 94 and winter 95 program. Okay. And all of the information is in the calendar, and I would encourage students to go. It's a great opportunity and really a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for many students going through university.
Herstmonceaux was donated to Queen's last year by Alfred Bader, a wealthy Queen's alumnus.
Studio Q alumni reporter Bruce Sellery took a camera in May and visited Herstmonceaux Castle just as Queen's was taking over the estate.
The campus is located in Sussex, England, just south of London. Here's an encore presentation of Bruce's story.
With the addition of Herstmonceaux Castle, Queen's can now trace its history back to 1441. That's exactly 400 years before the Kingston campus was founded.
You see, this is the dry moat.
Jane Whistler is the project coordinator of the castle.
So it doesn't go right around the castle. It's three-sided moat.
Lately, she's been busy taking a lot of Queen's people around and telling them about the history of the place. The knight in shining armor who captured the castle for Queen's was Alfred Bader, a wealthy alumnus who, with his wife Isabel, has long been a generous supporter of the university.
He said to his wife, would she like a castle? And she said no. And he said, let's go and see it anyway. So they came to see it, and he thought it would be a good place for Queen's to have.
Alfred Bader wants Queen's to become more outward-looking, a goal he hopes the International Study Center will help to attain.
And this will be used both as a sandwich bar at lunchtime.
In addition to proposed programs in executive development and graduate studies, there will be an undergraduate program for about 250 students from all different faculties.
This makes a nice small lecture room.
But this wasn't exactly the intended use for the property, built by a local nobleman as a cross between a genuine medieval stronghold and an Elizabethan country mansion. While the castle boasts towers, battlements, a dungeon, and even a moat, these are details that are more form than function. For example, the gun ports are constructed so that in order to shoot an enemy, he'd have to be standing directly in front to be hit. A few centuries later, descendants of the original owner found they had no defense against the rising costs of operating a full-scale castle. In 1776, the interior of Herstmonceaux was demolished in order to provide the raw materials for a manor house nearby. For the next 135 years, the castle lay in ivy-covered ruins until it was purchased in 1911 by a British colonel who began the painstaking task of reconstruction. A subsequent owner completed the work, and for the first time since 1570, the moat was flooded. The Royal Greenwich Observatory moved here after the Second World War, but when the telescopes were moved south in the 80s, the estate came on the market again. The community was less than pleased with the plans of the new owners, a development company that was planning a hotel and golf complex on the site. Fortunately for Queen's, the recession squashed the ambitious plans, though one superstitious observer suggests tongue-in-cheek that the developers were scared away by the ghosts that wander through the castle. The Grey Lady is the spirit of a woman who was starved to death by an evil governess in one of the towers. There was also a ghost in the dark paneled room above the bridge.
And he was supposedly a headless drummer, but it's believed that smugglers used to hide their loot in the castle, which was derelict. And by talking about the ghost, 7-foot-tall headless drummer, they kept other people away from their booze.
About a half-hour walk from the castle grounds is the village of Herstmonceaux. This community, like many across England, is being squeezed by the hardships of the recession and a rising cost of living. The locals here are very enthusiastic about the economic benefits of the Queen's plan. As well, the grounds will be open to the public again, and the history and integrity of the castle will be preserved.
It would appear that they have struck the right chord in the village.
Yet it seems certain that the presence of 250 Queen's students will change the atmosphere of this sleepy village. Any concerns that they'll be a little too rowdy for the beautifully...
No, because I enjoy getting rowdy and drunk myself.
Have you ever heard of something called the oil thigh?
No.
No guesses on what that is?
No. No. Is it something to do with drinking too much?
Usually. Yeah, it's actually... Well, it's clear that the people will be hospitable. The weather is less than certain.
A Canadian, a North American, would think it was damp. Wet and damp.
Oh, it is a bit depressing, but in the winter we sit at home by the roaring fire and watch TV and drink and drink.
The on-site office here in England is anticipating a frantic pace to get Herstmonceaux up and running for September of 1994.
But it's early days, and you know, it just doesn't happen overnight.
Though there's still a lot of work to be done, the potential for this place is incredible. For Studio Q, I'm Bruce Sellery at the Herstmonceaux Castle in Sussex.
Since Bruce's visit, a lot of work has been done. Herstmonceaux has undergone extensive renovations to prepare for students' arrival in September.
One of the buildings on campus has been turned into a residence, and there's also a shop and a small theater.
I just want to get out of here as quick as I can.
I'll do worse in school than I did in the first semester.
I predict that in 1993, 94. See, there you go. My subconscious is going to win the battle, and I'm going to be forced to drop out of school.
In 1994, that my stomach's going to explode from Coca-Cola overdose.
Hot dog industry's going to crash.
And I'd like to get a car. Anyone out there, my prediction is that I will get a Saab.
Just drive, see the world, go skiing.
Really, really warm summer. That's what I want.
I can't sit on television.
Turbo 900 convertible. You know, the top that goes like this?
Maybe the football team would make the playoffs next year. Gotta get a life.
Get a life. This one got
outside of Queens.
Yes, I want to keep my hair.
I would really like to get into law school. I'd like to get a 99% on my LSAT, and I'd like to get some sleep.
And it's 47,000, so I predict that there's someone out there, willing to buy me. Saab 900 convertible, British racing green, tan interior with the wood paneling.
I want to go to law school.
Well, preferably not lose my tan too quickly.
I'd like Cindy Crawford to stop calling me, and I'd like to stop getting drunk and waking up in my housemate's bed.
And I like this rash on my genitals to go away.
The wood paneling is important. If you really want to help me, the wood paneling is definitely the way to go.
I hope what I'm about to copy doesn't get eaten.
I'd like to open my closet and find Christian Slater there naked.
Have you ever noticed that there's like 2 times during the year when everyone on campus seems to be sick?
Yeah, right after Frosh Week and right now after Christmas holidays.
Well, fighting the common cold as a student can get quite expensive. So for this week's It's Your Money segment, Jay Durant took a look at how you can save some money at your local drugstore.
Now that the Christmas holidays are over and winter classes are underway, Queens students have returned to find their campus engulfed in a snowy mess of swirling wind, piled snowbanks, and slushy roads. Now, in addition to studying for new winter courses, many will be forced to face another winter problem, the cheapest and most effective way to deal with the flu. So how do the sick ones deal with sore throats, coughs, and sniffles?
Well, I don't mind it, you know, because my mom always takes me down to the drugstore and gets me that great tasting medicine.
But which medicine is best for the buck? With so many different kinds to choose from, the best way to find the answer is to see your local pharmacist. Some of the recommended brands are Neocitrin, $5.99 per 10-pack, Dimetap cough syrup, $5.49 for 100 milliliters, Contact C Cold Care, $8.69 for 20-pack, and Tylenol Cold and Flu Mix, $5.99 for 10-pack. But add all this medicine up and it can get fairly costly. So is there a cheaper alternative?
Flat ginger ale and chicken soup.
Oh, hot water and lemon and honey, or warm salt water. That'll do it.
There is, if you want to try out some home remedies. Most people have heard of the cold and flu family recipes that have been passed down from generation to generation. Second-year commerce student Shauna McDonald offers an example of one such potion.
Usually when I get sick, I use my old grandmother's recipe. And it involves celery salt, oregano, and lean parents. And usually you just stand by the stove, breathe in for about 3 minutes, and my nose is perfect.
How does this compare to the drugstore medication? That's $1.15 for the oregano leaves, $1.30 for the celery salt, and around $3 for the Worcestershire sauce. Cheaper than all the medicine, but who can say if it really works or not? There are a number of ways to beat the flu bug if you happen to get it this winter. Or perhaps the cheapest way is a procedure that has been passed on in my family from generation to generation. Get plenty of rest, dress warm, and every morning when you wake up, take a vitamin C, cod liver oil, vitamin A, and wash it all down with a little water. For Studio Q, I'm Jason Durant reporting.
And now a special word from our corporate sponsor, Procter & Gamble. Do you have the summer job blues? Are you in third year? Want to get a head start in your career? Then why not consider Procter & Gamble's summer internship program?
But I'm not in commerce.
You don't have to be in commerce. There are opportunities in finance, sales management, systems, brand management, and manufacturing. So pick up an information package at Career Planning and Placement near Vic Hall. Procter & Gamble is looking for highly motivated people from any background or discipline. But you'd better hurry. Applications are due by January 28th. Next week on Studio Q, remember Fiddler on the Roof? Well, QMT has gone and done it again. Be sure to tune in as our anchors get behind the scenes at this year's production of Kismet.
Hi, this is Paul Bertrand with the Brouhaha Sports Break. With the arrival of a new year and new sports, it is only appropriate to look back on the term in review. For the football team, the season began with high expectations for the defending Vanier Cup champions, heightened by the unexpected return of all-star tailback Brad Elbert. Unfortunately, however, this year's squad was not the football team of past years, and they stumbled to a 2-5 record, which left the Gales tied for last place in the OQIFC and out of the playoffs for the first time in 16 years. The disappointing season was capped by a 37-24 loss to McGill at homecoming, which kept the Gales out of postseason play. The Queen's rugby program has arguably been the best in Ontario for the better part of a decade, and neither the first nor second teams disappointed this year. Both sides took first place in the regular season, and Queens played host to the playoffs, which saw the first team defeat Western 17-15 and the seconds shellac Carleton 25-0, as Queens won 2 more rugby championships, making it 7 of the last 8 OUAA titles for the Gales. The soccer program had one of its best seasons ever, as the young but strong women's team took 3rd place in the OWIAA and sent striker Martha Hall to the CIAU First All-Star team and saw their coach Dave McDowell named CIAU Coach of the Year. The men favored even better, garnering first place honors in the OUAA and sending Mark LeBron to the CIAU All-Star team. The newly formed competitive cheerleading team took their show on the road to the Sky Dome for the Canadian National Cheerleading Championships, where they beat out perennially tough Laurier en route to a 3rd place finish. Other highlights this year: the tennis teams had a great year, with the women taking the OWIAA championship and the men winning the bronze in the OUAA. Women's rowing captured 2nd place honors this year, and in golf action, Gord Percy was named an OUAA All-Star. Capping off what can only be described as a great term for Queen's athletics, 58 Queen's athletes were named as academic All-Canadians. For Studio Q Sports, I'm Paul Bertrand.
Yes, that's right. It's giveaway time again on Studio Q. And this week, surprise, surprise, we are giving away a wax strap from the Red Chamber. No, it's not, from Whack Outfitters at downtown. So the question is...
Where is Shari?
Where is she?
Where the hell is she?
We don't know.
And if you know the answer to that, call us right now. And this is for Thursday's show only at 545-1040.
And if you have any questions or really anything to say, send us a letter at Studio Q, room 22, John Deutsch University Center, Kingston, Ontario. I don't know the postal code.
K7L 3N6.
Okay, yeah.
So,
that's it. For this week's show. What are we supposed to... Oh, thank Marianne and say goodbye. Thank you, Marianne, for being a part of the show today.
You're very welcome, Graham. Bye.
Goodbye. Okay, we're auditioning for a new anchor on the Studio Q program, so I wonder if you could just read a little bit here and just test you out for the thing. Okay, so all you got to do is, I'm going to say this part here. What's your name?
Grant.
Grant. Okay, I'm going to say this, and then you just respond to that, okay?
Okay.
And as much emotion as you can exhibit, okay, ready? Okay. Grant, have you ever noticed that there are 2 times during the year when everyone seems to get the flu?
Yep, September, just after we get back from the summer break, and January, just as we get back from the winter break.
That was good, but just give it like big emphasis, like really, yeah. Bruce, have you ever noticed that there are 2 times during the year when everyone seems to get the flu?
Yeah, September, just after we get back from the summer break, and January, after we get back from winter break.
That's wicked. Okay, thanks. That guy's a cut. It's the worst thing I've ever heard. Okay, auditioning for the co-anchor spot on the Studio Q because the other anchor left. Shari. Yeah, she just up and left. She's gone. She went to Hong Kong. You just have to say that when I'll ask you the question, and then you just answer with that. See, we look good together. I think it would go well. Okay.
So excitement and feeling and verb.
Yeah.
Got it.
But the only time, like, you can just do the yup with excitement and feeling, and the rest is sort of boring.
Yup.
So
And
yeah,
that's
yeah.
right.
So yeah. So I'm gonna say, what's your first name? And I'll just. Is yup. Okay. Okay, and then you're gonna say the pen thing. So, yup. Have you ever noticed that there are 2 times during the year when everyone seems to get the flu?
September, just after we get back from the summer break, and January, just as we get back from winter break.
Thank you very much. That was great. Okay, I think that's the one. He's a keeper. Rita, have you ever noticed that there are 2 times during the year when everyone seems to get the flu?
Yep, September, just after we get back from the summer break, and January, just as we get back from the winter break.
That was great. That's the best one we've had so far. Thank you very much. Thanks. We'll give you a call if you get the spot for anchor, all right? Thank you. Okay, bye-bye. Sue? Yeah, okay, here we go. Have you ever noticed that there seem to be 2 times during the year when everyone gets the flu?
Yep.
I can't do it. Oh, it was so beautiful. It was beautiful. That's the best yup we've had. No, it was, because you had meaning in it. You had meaning in the yup. All you got to do is, okay, just say September just after we get back from, just say the first part, okay? But we need the yup again. It was beautiful, okay? Sue, this is the one. Have you ever noticed that there are 2 times a year when people seem to get the flu? I can't believe it. You had the yup before, and now it's just gone.